Hey kids, do you enjoy a healthy, balanced breakfast as a Halloween treat? Well, this ad is most definitely for you.
Quaker granola dips, a hauntingly wholesome Halloween treat. Chewy granola dipped in real milk chocolate.
I guess it was a very special treat back then, but to be honest, kids do not eat wholesome treats with granola dipped in milk chocolate. That's something your mother would actually eat for breakfast with her coffee. But I guess kids might like it, maybe most kids might like it, who knows? It's hard to tell nowadays because, well, most kids do eat different things. Most of them healthy, most of them unhealthy. All I can say is back during those days, I think kids would definitely prefer to have a rock or some raisins.
The perfect treat for your little monsters.
Here's an 80s ad for Zinger's treats. Now, they're kind of the same like those yellow vanilla cupcakes that even myself enjoy a lot, where it's basically a cake with some type of creamy filling inside. They have something known as a devil's food with chocolate, raspberry with coconut, and even the vanilla one with nice vanilla frosting like in I think it was vanilla frosting. I think that was called the other cake, but it's just so delicious. My main problem with these cakes is that they're very, very, very sweet. But other than that, they are awesome. They're very small compared to other cakes normally. Normally you'd see them a little bigger, but no, this one's like a teeny tiny little treat and it's very, very sweet. I've had some before because, well, they're still around today. Yeah, you could still take these around today. I wish they could bring back something like with this ad. This ad actually shows not only you would get 2 extra zingers inside of a pack, but you also have a pumpkin decorating kit inside. Yeah, it may be cheap, it's cardboard, and you know, it's gonna fade away, especially in the rain, but it definitely would be nice for the kids to actually use it instead of, well, carving the pumpkins, pretty much. It'd probably be way more fun for the kids and a lot more easier. It's just a neat ad, and it's very cute, and while that jingle is not my favorite jingle to listen to, I know a lot of people remember it, and everybody remembers Zingers. And, well, I remember them too, because they're still around today.
Trick or treat!
1 trick and 2 treats from Dolly Madison.
Oh yeah, now it's time to get serious. Or sillier. Let me explain first off. Universal back around the late 80s to the early 90s was starting to become way more popular again. Most young people, including some of the people who once saw these films as kids, started to see them back again with, you know, new releases and even the Universal Studios Monster Madness events that have been happening. And I mean, everywhere, they've been everywhere, from costumes, cereal, it was everywhere. So having something kind of like this ad kind of feels the mold a little bit. It kind of like, you know, is more interesting for me. This ad basically has, well, a hunk of a man is a vampire and wants to take a feast upon a young woman. She runs away, but also counters one weakness, and that weakness, of course, was Diet Coke, of course. It definitely is. He can't beat the original, so he drinks it as a normal vampire would, and, well, he turns back to normal. Very simple as that, and they walk off into the sunrise. Yeah, it was also kind of like, you know, it was made when Universal, like, kind of like said, okay, you can make this ad with all the stuff we had originally back in the 30s, so they kind of had it black and white. They had the Swan Lake music, which actually sounds pretty nice on this 1-minute version that I found, and the costumes look great. I kind of like this look. Yeah, it kind of looks like Dracula a little bit. Maybe slightly little different compared to the Bela Lugosi look, but it still looks pretty cool, and the music was nice. It's just silly. It's just silly, you know? It wasn't meant to be taken seriously. It was meant to like, you know, sell a product, and that product was Coca-Cola. While I'm not a guy who basically drinks Coca-Cola, I can understand why people still drink it to this very date. And maybe this ad has a lot to do with it. Yeah, nice ad, and Can't beat the classics.
You can't be the real thing.
Here's a cool 1980s ad about Miller Lite, which is basically a parody of the 1968 George A. Romero film Night of the Living Dead. It's probably one of my coolest things because they got kind of like the same like music from SpongeBob SquarePants a little bit, and it's Night of the Living Dead. It's probably one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and I just kind of like the fact that the zombies, they don't come after the guy, they just come after his beer, which is Miller Lite. I guess the zombies are a huge fan of it or something, but this is a cool ad. I'm just going to put that point in clear. This is a cool ad. It's black and white. The guy doesn't need guns. He boards himself in. He gives them all the Miller Lights except for one, but even that does not stop him. Still a cool ad, and yeah, hey, I wish beer ads could do something similar to this. Hopefully in the near future, but I gotta wait and see.
On Halloween, reach for the less filling beer that tastes great, Miller Lite.
Quiet, I'm calculating.
Here we see a calculator brand, Texas Instruments, and Count Dracula is calculating something. What is he calculating? Vials of blood? Oh, anywho, Count Dracula, of course, calculating inside of his casket. Of course it's dark in there, but this is a solar calculator that is created. I've touched these types of solar calculators beforehand, especially during high school, and these things still work. It's almost like they were made for calculating, man. They were so good. Dracula calculating, though, is pretty interesting. The Prince of Darkness with a calculator. Very, very odd, but very interesting. And for an ad like this, it's okay. Nothing too much to talk about. Let's go to the next.
Imagine the Prince of Darkness with a solar calculator.
A most chilling experience is waiting for you.
Yes, do tell, scary narrator voice.
You can make your next party a real scream with a Goosebumps ice cream cake for a limited time. From your local TCBY treat shop. A taste so good you can
this
send
ad, I
shivers
just
down
can't
your
complain
friend's
about
taste
it.
buds.
Sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet and say, yeah, I should have tasted this as a kid. Is it me? No. I'll stick to vanilla milkshakes, thank you very much.
TCBY Goosebumps ice cream cakes for a limited time. And for $5 you can get TCBY Treats gift certificates and offers from Walden Books, Party City, and DreamWorks Interactive.
Here we see a young, ordinary boy.
This morning, Billy looked like any other boy, but as the moon rose, he turned into a werewolf. He used new Pa's Halloween makeup kits. His friends did too. Look, Mike's a vampire.
Do ads like this just want to scare me? They want me to have a panic attack? Well, that ad had me fooled for a second, but to be honest, that's how good the makeup is. And pretty much all the others don't look too bad either. The clown one looks the most realistic out of it, but that werewolf one, I'll never forget it. And the funny thing is the fact that the music sounds like something coming out of a circus. Maybe that's what this whole makeup thing was about. Well, Pa's Halloween makeup kit, you sure did give me the chills.
So watch your kids turn into the creatures they really are with new Pa's Halloween makeup kits.
A lot of creatures in the dark, but I am here safe in this bunker, and I'm going to finish the 3 commercials that I am going to promise you. It's been a hell of a day, and that's why I'm going to finish them tonight. So let's continue with number 8. Oh yes, now we're going to be getting some fun here. I've already talked about how good the Universal Monsters have been doing over the years, but one of their main priorities is their VHS library, mainly their Monsters Classic Collection, which shows all the classic movies starting from Dracula to Frankenstein, And I don't know where the end was with this collection, but it was big. It was monstrous. And it was a VHS collection. My personal favorite was the 1999 VHS ad that I saw on the 1999 VHS version of Brendan Fraser's The Mummy, one of the most timeless classics ever. And they even had the 1932 version, which was crazy. And I kind of loved the narrator's voice in this one, too.
Universal Studios Home Video presents the most famous monsters of all time in one horrifying collection.
Really, really good, really booming voice. But then it was a special edition, too, of Dracula that actually intrigued me, too, because it had music in it for like at least until like 65 years later. Yeah, that's how old this whole ad is. For like 1931 to 1999. That's 65 years. Dracula was known not to have music in its actual ads. So that's why they started doing this with Philip Glass, and Cornell's Quartet, I think was the name. And the music, I've heard it. It's great. I love it. It kind of makes the somber mood. It also fits the 1930s, which used to make such beautiful music, especially the world's most creepiest music as well.
What music they make.
So it fits the whole thing of Halloween, but also fits the classic days of Universal. And that's their monsters. And again, if there wasn't a Count Dracula, there would be no any other classic monsters that you can even think of today. There would be no Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, none of those guys. You would never even see them if it wasn't for the Universal monsters. And we have them to thank for it. And so do I.
The Universal Classic Monster Collection. Look inside each video for a $5 savings offer and take them home forever.
Happy Halloween! I'm Dumpy the Pumpkin.
It's sad for me to see Carvel ads like this looking so cool, and yet some of my family members probably never even tasted this cake. The cakes of Dumpy the Pumpkin and Wiki the Witch are probably some of one of the world's most favorite ice cream ads ever, from the late 80s to even the early 90s. Honestly, I kind of do like the looks of these cakes, because they're very unique looking, especially like Wiki the Witch and Dubby the Pumpkin, which are nice. They're pretty big too. And there was also a thing where you can actually send them to a friend as well. I think the phone was 327 gift or something. I do not know. I hadn't looked at this ad in like a little bit. I've only looked at it a couple of times. But yeah, I remember Carvel. I just didn't remember these ads, and I didn't remember them actually being this good. I believe that pretty much Halloween cakes are what's kind of like slightly lacking in today's Halloween. Imagine if they actually could bring back Halloween cakes. It doesn't matter which types they can be, but I kind of like the uniqueness and the idea, even the names. The names Dumpy the Pumpkin and Wiki the Witch, they're not very bad names, especially in today's Halloween. So I wish they actually could bring these back and pretty much make them more delicious than ever. A delicious treat for Halloween, and probably also for somebody's awesome horror party. What can you say, Carvel? You used to be good, and you still are, but you used to be a lot better in the 80s.
Want to send one to a friend? Please phone 800-327-GIFT and call a Cake Honors most major credit cards. Thank you.
Have you ever been in a haunted house?
I fucking hate these ads. And that makes it point and clear here. This is just a rant at this last ad here. Hotlines have been everywhere. Even in the early 2000s as a kid, you just could not escape them. They're still around today, but I think they're way more calm as of now. But back then, they were a mess. And maybe I could just take off my hat just to tell you how bad these things are. Because you didn't know you got gypped, and you didn't know your kids probably got gypped from very special things. And then most of the time they would say certain stuff like, this certain thing goes to the local science museums or the Special Olympics, when in reality, they probably just took your money and they went to go to the nearest drugstore to get their, like, you know, their special drugs. Like, I don't know, meth, crystal meth, or or like cocaine, whatever. They do anything with that. Or they're just a freak that just wants to hear a kid talk. That's how bad these things have gotten. And I just, for one thing is for certain, for these people who are continually doing this, just stop. Especially like the ones that you get those random calls. Just stop. Just stop. I do not care. I just don't want you calling me. I don't want anyone calling me for just some random BS. I don't care what you're selling or what you're doing. Just stop calling me. Because at this point, I'm just going to continuously ignore you so that you can make less and less money. And that's what everyone should be doing. Don't even pick up the phone at this point at them because they're not worth your time. None of them are worth your time. And I hope I don't have to see another one like this, because these are just so poorly made and poorly executed, especially for just trying to make kids happy or sell a product. It is the worst thing that you could possibly see and even just talk about. They're that horrendous. And this is the last one, and thank God for that.
You're not afraid of me, are you?
Look at this face, you son of a bitch. Do I look like someone who needs to be messed with? No, of course not. So take over your little ad and piss off.
Call 976-5432. That's 976-5432.